All right. There we go. A little eye wipe to start the day. HPTV Live. Welcome, everyone. Okay, so today it's actually just a few days before Christmas, and we are going to jump right into this and talk about something that's really, really important. Perhaps for quite a number of you guys who are thinking about writing a book, or you have a book that you want to write, and you're not too sure if you should go the publish route or self-publish a book. So I want to give you some insights here because obviously I've written 3 published books, and so we got 1, 2, and the new one, the All Day Fat Burning Cookbook, has come out today, actually yesterday. So I've written 3 published books, and a lot of people. One of the most common topics that seem to be a discussion point when I'm at an event or talking with people who are thinking of writing a book in whatever field, or they have an idea for a book, or they have a book they're not too sure what they want to do with, is this whole idea of should I self-publish or should I publish? So what I want to share with you here is essentially what my experience has led me to believe is, just or to give you guys a bit of perspective on how to kind of navigate this. So before I do this, I actually got to pull up my notes, which are not showing up for whatever reason, because my computer doesn't seem to want to bring them up. So I'm just going to pull up the good old Evernote. There we go. All right. Because I have a lot of things to say about this, and I don't think I'm going to do everything justice in this one video. I'm actually going to do like an epic blog post, like a blog post that's going to be like the definitive guide to publishing or not publishing a book. And so if you guys have any questions related to this that I'm not addressing, please let me know in the comments so that I can address it in that blog post that I'll be publishing within the next couple of weeks in the new year. So all right, so let's get started here. So first and foremost, there's a couple different phases with respect to the book world, right? So first and foremost, we have the idea of a book, right? What is the idea for the book? What is the magic secret sauce? Because it doesn't matter if you're publishing or self-publishing, it's a product. It's something you're going to be selling, and therefore it has to have some type of hook, a mechanism, something that makes it stand out. And I say that especially in the nonfiction space, which is what we're all in, where it's more how-to, right? If you're writing, fiction novels, this is a little bit different. But if you're writing a how-to book, people read, and to be very honest with you, I'm at a point now where I've stopped reading books. I've actually got a couple books that I just purchased a couple weeks ago, and I'm having a tough time reading them because I actually don't enjoy consuming information because it's too much. I feel like I have a very good clear trajectory of what I'm doing and where I'm going. And I'd rather learn from doing and experience than buying all these books and just sitting around and reading. But I'm not saying there's no value in that, but just for me, it's kind of, not where I'm at right now. So anyways, with that said, if you go to a bookstore, like there's a million books. It's absolutely overwhelming. And if you just look in the well-being, health, nutrition section, there's 1,000 diet books. And what's the difference between this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one? Other than marketing, the big thing you really have to be able to clearly articulate is the big idea. What is the big idea of your book, right? So again, it doesn't matter if it's a book or a course or a workout or a product. It all comes down to the messaging, to the big idea, to the marketing of that. Because if you don't have a big idea, the marketing of that thing becomes very difficult. So for instance, the big idea with this book is double your energy in 7 days. Okay, that's pretty much the only, that I'm aware of at the time, the only book on energy that was going to help you double your energy in 7 days. The big idea for this book was the 5-day food cycling formula that resets your metabolism to lose up to 5 pounds a week. And the reason I say that is based on obviously a lot of client experience using this program. And then, in formulating this idea in this book, you really have to think of, okay, like what makes this diet different than this one, right? What makes this one different from the thousands of others on the bookshelves? Because when a company is looking to publish, let's just say publish the book from you, they're going to be looking at how do we sell this? How do we sell this to stores? How do we sell this to the representatives of Walmart, of Indigo, of whatever the bookstores are in the States? And if they don't know how to articulate what makes this book special and different and unique, aka the big idea or the hook, or the mechanism, are all very interchangeable words, it becomes very challenging to sell that. Okay. So understand that you're writing a book, awesome, right? You have an idea, you have experience, you have wisdom. Everybody has a book inside them. Everyone has several books inside of them. Sometimes I think you should probably sometimes you should probably stop after you've said what you need to say, because I'll save that for a couple minutes from now. But anyways, so you have the idea, right? The big idea, the big hook. It's going to be the same as with whatever else you're doing product-wise. Okay, so let's say you have that. The next thing you're going to do is you have to, let's say you're going down the publishing route or the category in this case would be the proposal, right? Or getting a deal in the first place. Now, if you're publishing a book, this usually requires an agent. And most book agents I don't know most book agents. I mean, my book agent's amazing. So I don't really know. I don't have any contrast. But my first book deal, I had met Reed Tracy, who's a tremendous man, who's the CEO of Hay House, at a mastermind. And it was funny because I always thought of Hay House as being like my ideal publisher. I was like, I love their books. I love what they stand for. And so I went up to him and I said, hey, Reed, I've got an idea for a book. I don't think anyone's really talking about this. What do you think? What if you jump on a quick call this week and talk about it? He's like, yeah, sure. So we did. I gave him the idea for the book, which was the all-day energy diet. And he was like, yeah, let's do this. So he basically wrote me a proposal or an offer that same day, and that was without an agent. So that's a very rare opportunity to be in a room with the CEO of a publishing house, right? And that's, again, another reason why it's so important to be part of masterminds, to go to events, to go to workshops where you can meet these people, okay? Because none of that would have happened. Let me just give you some context here. I was part of a $25,000 a year mastermind. I met somebody who started doing business with who I had not known before. We became great partners, one of their top partners, and as a result, I was invited to one of their masterminds. At that mastermind, that is where I met Reed Tracy. So none of that would have happened had I not initially invested in that first $25,000 mastermind. So just to give you some context, right? You have to pay to play. And I'm telling you, the biggest needle movers in your business are when you actually start going to live events. Hands down. You want to build your online business, spend more of your time offline. It's weird, but that's just the way it goes. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. All right, so let me just make sure that everything is, I don't even know what is going on here. Yeah, all right, so that is just a little bit of context on that. So we've got this book idea, and if you have an agent, then, well, here's the other thing is, if you work closely with me, for instance, if you come to our workshops, if you're part of our Illuminaries Mastermind that we're going to be rolling out in a few weeks, these are the people that I can introduce you to. I can introduce you to my agent, who is known as this 7-figure agent, because she gets everybody in the health space. She specializes in the health space, either high 6-figure or 7-figure book deals, right? So wouldn't that be nice to know, right? So you get a book agent. They're the masters at pitching your idea to the publishers, right? So they're going to get you out there, and the reason it's important to have an agent is because they're the ones who understand how to approach different publishers with your idea, right? They're the ones who are going to give you, they should be the ones to give you some great feedback on your book proposal, because the book proposal, you have to have a book proposal. Put something together, which again is going to be mostly related to, excuse me one second, as you can tell, I'm a little bit nasally here, so just had to have a quick little wipe. Usually, you should be, so every book has to have a book proposal, right? For the most part, unless you're, like people just begging to write your book with, sight unseen. The book proposal should give people or the publishers an outline of what you're going to talk about with, some degree of clarity with a, breakdown of the chapters. So like a table of contents, a slight description of each chapter, but the bulk of it is really going to be focused around marketing, because publishers are, for the lack of a better word, glorified publishers, right? They'll do a beautiful job at printing a great book, as we've seen, but they want to know that you can sell the book. And this is the big distinction here, okay? So I'm going to say something that I hope you take to heart, and I've said this to everybody. Unless you have a following of 1 million people, it's probably not worth publishing a book, okay? And that's because it's very tough to sell a book. unless you're giving it away for free. A book is, it's an investment, 20 bucks, 30 bucks. People are not willing to invest that for whatever reason, right? It requires work, reading, blah, 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 right? I would be a perfect example of like, great, this book has some cool insights. Maybe I'll buy it. Maybe I won't. I'm not too sure. But the thing is, if you have a following of 5,000 people, well, guess what? What are you going to say in your book proposal? Yes, I've got a list of 5,000 people and I'm going to send them a bunch of emails. And on 5,000 people, let's say 20% open your emails. That's 1,000 people. And of those people who open the email, let's say 20% click. So that's under 200 people. And of those 200 people who go to the actual book page, let's say 50 of them buy. So 50 people buy from a list of 5,000 people. Now, again, that's just a theoretical number, but what I've seen over 3 or 2 big book launches, and then this current one, we're actually not doing anything because I don't want to, and I'll tell you why. Then you just have to have massive numbers to really make this worthwhile. And the reason I say you need 1 million people is based on the numbers, because here's the dilemma: is when you are promoting or doing your book launch, right? So I have this book. The publisher owns the book. They sell it to the bookstores. I don't own the payment process. I don't own the marketing funnel. I don't capture customers through a sales funnel. And that limits my ability to do stuff in terms of marketing. So I can't go to you and say, hey, can you promote this book and I'll give you 90% commission? Well, 90% commission of what? Right? Because what's going to happen is, where's the book housed? Where are people buying the book from? Amazon, right? Or Barnes & Noble, or their local bookstore. So unless you say, listen, I'm willing to give you $5,000 just for emailing your list, regardless of how many books sell, you could do that if you wanted to and waste a lot of money, but I wouldn't recommend that. What you have to think about is that when you're getting people to promote the book, there has to be a financial incentive for them. You can be great friends with people. That's awesome. And they'll probably share it on social, which really doesn't mean a lot because social has no reach anymore. But the reality is people are running businesses. And we can't just do favors for friends all the time, because every single person in the health space, at a certain level has a book, right? So if you're doing favors for every single person, it's like, okay, promoting the next book, the next book, the next book. I mean, I basically don't promote books anymore because they don't make money for my business. And that's the sad truth, because it's not about the book. The book can be great, but how many times do we have to say the same thing? Oh, eat more real foods, less sugar. Cool, right? People get it. I don't think people need 300 pages to understand that. But the problem is that most people, most authors, most people in our space especially, are not clever. Well, I shouldn't say clever, but they're not smart marketers with how they're doing their book launches. And as a result of that, they're not making money for the people promoting the book. And that means that, well, who's going to want to promote the book? Well, very few people, right? Especially if there's an opportunity cost. I could be sending you an email about your book to my entire list, and that one email could have been sent somewhere else where I could have made tens of thousands of dollars. So that's the way you have to think about this, is always think about what's in it for them. What's in it for the partners promoting the book? What's in it for the customers? Never think about, I've got a cool book, I'm so happy about it. Can you all mention it, right? Yes. So this book, I'm super happy about it. I'm really excited. I'm grateful for how it turned out, but I'm not doing a huge book launch around this because I'm kind of handcuffed with what I can do. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So anyways, does this make sense so far? So we're talking about, you have to have a big idea. You have to have a book proposal. The book proposal will be, outline of the book, the marketing plan, how you expect to get it out there. And if you can have an agent work with you, that would be great, right? I mean, I know 2 of the best agents in the health space personally. One of them is my own, obviously, and the other one is I wouldn't say a good friend, but we obviously are on. We're not enemies, but we just don't talk that often, right? So anyways, I could drop him an email type of thing, and we would have a conversation. But anyways, the reason I'm saying that is because if you wanted to go the book agent route, they're going to take about 15% of your advance and royalties. So here's where I'm just going to go back to what I said about having a list of 1 million people, which again, very few people have, and I don't, right? So I'm kind of a little bit of an anomaly with this. And with that perspective, I really recommend that people don't even bother, because with a list of 1 million people, you can say, listen, I'm going to sell a lot of books. And there's a very specific formula that publishers use to figure out how many books you're going to sell, at what retail price, and as a result of that, what is the advance they can give you. So when I signed my first book deal, the All Day Energy Diet, that was me personally introducing the idea to the publisher. And as a result of that, I was just like, listen, I just want to get my foot in the door. I don't really care about the advance. I mean, I did, but I was like, wasn't a big deal. So I got an advance that was decent. And to be very honest, the average advance, check this out, the average advance for nonfiction books is $500. If you ever get offered $500 to write a book, you should run far away, because the amount of work that goes into a published book is like bringing a baby into this world. So that first advance was much better than $500, and I was happy with it initially. But then I realized how much work goes into a published book, because the writing of it is obviously one piece. You don't have to write everything. You can dictate it, have it transcribed, edit it. All that stuff is cool. But it's the back and forth editing, and then it's the thinking of how I'm going to launch this bad boy. How am I going to do this in a way that's going to make a lot of people excited to promote this book? You have to start doing some really clever things to work around the system. Because if your launch plan is the book is out, go to Amazon and buy it, it's going to be tough, right? And let me just be very honest about something. There's a very big difference between a New York Times bestseller and an Amazon bestseller. Okay, an Amazon bestseller, I don't really consider that anything, especially if you're selling a 99-cent ebook in some random category. And you send an email to your list saying, hey, buy this 99-cent ebook on basket weaving. And hey, I'm number one in the category. I'm now a number one Amazon bestseller. That means nothing, okay? So let's not get confused about a Kindle ebook versus an actual published book and having, it be featured on a prominent list like the USA Today, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, whatever. But with that said, even the New York Times list is it's overrated. We'll just put it that way. So anyways, all right. So we got the kind of the initial stuff, right? The book deal, the agent in place. I really don't believe you should be doing a book unless it's multiple 7 figures. Sorry, that would be even better. Multiple 6 figures as an advance. And the reason I say that is because there's a big opportunity cost in terms of the time that's invested in writing the book, in editing the book, in a lot of the, getting release forms from testimonials and all this other stuff. It's a lot of work. And every single minute you're spending on your book, you're not spending on something else in your business that could be generating revenue or moving you ahead in some other aspect of your business. So you have to make a very distinct call. It's like, hey, listen, is this the path I want to go down, or is this the path? And be very realistic with yourself and say, why is it that I want to write a book? So I was very cognizant of the fact that my first book, The All Day Energy Diet, my main objective was not only to help a lot of people with this, but was to hit number one on the New York Times list. I actually had on my vision board on my phone, I would look at this every single day. I took an image of let me see if I can find this for you guys actually. I took an image of the New York Times list off of Google Images, and I'm just going to see if I can find this because this is really cool. If I can find this. If I can, I will show you from my screen, but I don't think it's on here. So this is actually good looking stuff here. I have a vision board in my Evernote, and I take all these cool stuff. Very nice. All right, anyways. So what I was saying is I took a picture of the New York Times bestseller list, and then I went into some photo editor and I changed the name at the top of the number one book to The All Day Energy Diet by Uriel Kim. And I just looked at that and I ingrained that in my head for a year. That was all I believed. I'm I haven't even finished the book, right? I had no idea what I was going to do to launch it, but I knew I was going to hit number one. And I remember having dinner on, a week after the book came out, and my agent called me and she's like, you hit number two. I was like, what do you mean I hit number 2? She's like, you hit number 2 on the New York Times list. And I was like, holy shit. Because that week I was up against some big people like Steve Harvey. I think Peter Thiel, who wrote 0 to 1, which is a great book, he was number 1 that week. So I was like, okay, cool. Peter Thiel, one of the most respected investors in the world. He was one of the first investors in Facebook, and he co-founded PayPal. I'm like, okay, he'll have a number 1. That's cool. I'll take number 2 any day of the week. Anyways, so I had a very clear vision of why I wanted to write the book. I wanted to hit the New York Times list because I wanted that to be able to open doors into bigger opportunities for me down the road. Bigger speaking, I can command bigger speaking fees. Bigger opportunities in terms of credibility to use online, because risk and not being a credible person is something that a lot of people online have to deal with, right? There's a lot of mistrust. There's a lot of scam alerts and stuff online. So using credibility elements are very important. So, being a New York Times bestseller, being on Dr. Oz, on the doctors, all these other things help me stand above everybody else who is marketing stuff in the online health and fitness space, who is not of that same, let's call it pedigree, even though it really, maybe that's not the best word for it. So I wanted to use it from a credibility perspective. I wanted it to open other doors. And third, I wanted it to open up a much bigger second book deal, because I hadn't said everything I wanted to say in the first book. I said everything I wanted to say about energy. It was like everything I know, very different from whatever else has been written about it. And I was happy about that. And people know me for being the energy guy and the fat loss guy. So I said, okay, I said everything I can say about energy. Now I want to write a book about fat loss, because those are the two things that I do, or I've done. I'm not going to say better than anyone else, because we're all amazing at what we do, but those are the two, like my two big things over the past 20 years. So then I had like 12 publishers like knocking on my door to propose the next book. And it was like within the first week of the book doing so well. The problem though is that Hay House actually didn't print enough copies of the book. We sold so many copies of the first book that Hay House didn't print enough copies, and we were sold out on Amazon for 3 weeks. And so when the other publishers started seeing that, they started to get a little bit worried that book sales weren't as high as they were. And so we basically said, listen, what do you want us to do? There's no books. We can't even sell them, right? So that was a bit of an issue, but it was a nice problem to have. So anyways, Rodale stepped up to the plate. Rodale was they are the publisher of Men's Health, Prevention, all those big health magazines. That's Rodale, right? And Rodale, look at most big health books nowadays: Urban Monk, Bone Broth Diet, Bulletproof Diet, all Rodale books. And so I'd known them actually previously, again, from meeting them at a live event. Holy goodness. I met the editor-in-chief of Rodale at a live event, about a year prior. And we'd kept in communication, and they were one of the first ones to step up, and they offered me a monster book deal. And I was like, I'd be crazy not to take this. So those are kind of like the 3 clarifying questions for me in terms of, or the kind of the criteria of why I wanted to write the book, right? So before you think about writing a book, think about what's the goal, what's the objective? Because there's a very big difference between, hey, I've got a Kindle book on Amazon, which is, you might as well just write an ebook for your website, versus I'm going to go full on published authority type of book. So anyways, that's, where do we go now? I lost my notes. All right, let me just find this for you guys. Okay, so let's just look at let me go back before I go any further. Let me just kind of give you some of the differences here. So I've been basically talking about the publishing route the whole time, right? So getting an agent, book proposal, all that stuff. If you're going to self-publish, you don't need any of that. You don't even have to have a book proposal. You just have an idea and you write it. Okay, it's good to have some structure and obviously write something awesome, but you write it, and there's no like word count length and requirements and all this stuff. You just write the damn book about whatever you want, and that's it. Done deal. Okay, so that's pretty cool, right? And I'll just give you another example from this book. The cookbook, for those of you who have it, is great. And what's interesting, it was actually a 45,000 word book when I finished it. I had all the recipes done, had all the text done, had everything done, 45,000 words. I sent it to my editor at Rodale, and she's like, it's great. we just need an extra 20,000 words. And I was like, what? I've said everything I could possibly say in the book. So what I ended up doing was I had to start bringing together more information and adding more text to the book, which ended up being okay. But that was 20,000 extra words I never would have written had I self-published. And it's not like those 20 extra thousand words make all the difference in the book, right? It's not like I wrote, 5 recipes and they said, hey, listen, we actually need like 100. That's obviously a very big difference, right? And for the recipes in a cookbook, that's very important. But I don't know about you guys. I'm kind of flipping through the first couple chapters and going right to the recipes. So that's just me with the cookbook. Anyways, that's the kind of stuff you don't have to deal with if you're self-publishing, okay? So let me just recap. When you're going the published route, you probably should have an agent. You probably should be writing a great book proposal, and you have to have a large online platform. And this is why, one of the reasons why, we're doing our content mastery workshop in January is because by creating a platform, this is a long-term goal. This is a long-term vision, hopefully for most of you guys, that content is one of the biggest plays that you can be using in your business. If you have traffic come to your site in the hundreds of thousands a month or the millions a month, that is a massive, massive asset. You can go to a publisher and you can say, listen, I have a list of 100,000 people and I get 100,000 views a month or a million unique visitors a month to my website. That's a massive asset in terms of getting a book deal because that traffic is huge. If you can say, listen, I have 100,000 followers on Facebook or 10,000 or 50,000, all of those things make a big difference. I said, listen, I've got 140,000 subscribers on YouTube. My videos have been seen by 23 million people. I've got, at the time, 40,000 followers on Facebook, a list of a couple 100,000. All these different things you're going to pile on to basically say, listen, I can reach a lot of people and sell a lot of books, but you obviously have to be able to do that, right? If you don't have an online platform, if you don't have a big following, then self-publish the book first. Publish it on your own. Sell it to your existing audience. And if you sell 100 copies, cool, you keep all the money and just move on. You can always repurpose that book. You can take it down offline, repurpose it, and republish it as a published book down the road if you wanted to. So if you don't, and this, I tell my wife this, I tell everybody this, I'm like, you can be an amazing writer and have an amazing book, but if you don't have a large online following, it's not going to make any sense. It really is not going to make any sense because the amount of work that you're going to put into it is not going to yield any fruits and so forth. Okay, Herb, what about a free Kindle Create Space book as a lead magnet? Yeah, that's a completely different ballgame, right? Awesome. I love that idea. I prefer the free plus shipping model. I really do. So it's funny. I don't have an example here, but we have a self-published cookbook called the All Day Energy Diet Community Cookbook that was initially a digital cookbook. We turned it into a self-published physical cookbook, and we did a launch for that this summer, and in 5 days, we sold more than 11,000 copies, okay? And we had, just to give you some context, if you guys know The Truth About Cancer, right? Have you guys seen that documentary series? Huge, huge, huge business. They sent one email a couple weeks after the launch. They did $50,000 in commissions from sending their list to a free cookbook. How do you make $50,000 in commissions from sending to a free cookbook? Well, it's because we actually had a funnel that was well tested, well thought out, and proven to work. So that sold another, 3,000 copies of the cookbook. And this is stuff you can't do when you have a published book, unless you're like taking some big risks and doing some crazy stuff. So I love the whole idea of like the Create Space, free plus shipping stuff as a lead magnet. But you have to have a tested funnel, or at least be willing to test and maybe lose a little bit of money to test things out. But I think for me, like on the business side of things, so I've written 3 published books on the nutrition side. I'm very happy. I've said everything I can say about nutrition in terms of, obviously my blog is really the best place to get more information on an ongoing basis, but I've said everything I can say. I have nothing else to say about nutrition or diet. I'm done. But on business and marketing, I've got a lot of stuff to say about entrepreneurship, but I'm not going to go down the published route. I'm going to go and self-publish my own book. I'm going to give it away for free, and that's basically how I'm going to do it. because we've proven this model 3 different times with different things that we've had, and it's the most compelling offer. The free plus shipping offer is the most compelling offer, especially around a book, because the book still has perceived value. And if you can say, listen, instead of paying $30 on Amazon, I'm going to give it to you for free, just cover the shipping of like $7. That's a very compelling offer. And obviously the book has to be great, right? It can't be garbage. I actually just had a friend of ours, I'm not going to mention his name because he's pretty well known in the online fitness space. His wife just came out with a cookbook, but it was a self-published cookbook. He told me about the launch. I'm like, listen, dude, I can't support it because I've got my own cookbook, and obviously I got to promote my own cookbook before anything else. And I got it. He actually sent me this really nice package of stuff for Christmas yesterday. Really great guy, good friend. But his book was like, all right, so like the cookbook was like this size, right? Not even 8.5 by 11, not even 8.5 by the normal size of a cookbook. And it's like coil bound. I'm looking through it and I'm just like, these are stock photos, not even the real photos of the food. I'm like, how am I supposed to go to bed at night knowing that I promoted something like that when I created and fully would rather promote something like this? So if you're going to self-publish stuff, make sure the quality is very high, right? Don't chintz out. Do stuff that's going to really wow people and pay a little bit more, right? I understand there's obviously a cost savings to printing something small, okay? And black and white and whatever else you want to do. But, put quality. Obviously, you guys are, in this game for the long term, putting out quality stuff. Don't cut corners because it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths when they get that in the mail. Because if I ordered that and I saw that in the mail, I'd be like, wow, that was... I guess I got what I paid for, right? I paid for nothing and I paid for shipping and that's what I got. But if I were to get something like this for free, that's a little bit more of a wow factor because it's like, holy cow, this must have cost them a fortune. I feel like I just stole from them. So put out good stuff. Brienne, need to work on strategies to build my online following. Yes, all of you do. All of you do. And that's why I've created Healthpreneur, because I want to help you guys build your online following, because nothing else matters. Nothing else. Like, you can have the best information, the best stuff. You can help so many people. But if you don't know how to get your message out there and you don't know how to build your tribe, you're not going to be helping anyone. I mean, you might be helping a couple people, maybe in person, some small stuff. But if you really want to impact people at a greater level, you have to build your online platform. And yeah, and I really firmly believe that content is the way to do that. And that's why we have this entire workshop built around that in January, because content is a way to set yourself up as a thought leader in your space. If you're producing, like, I can't tell you how many times when I'm at a live event or I'm meeting with people, they're like, oh my God, I love your blog. Yeah, I've seen all your YouTube videos, all this type of stuff, or I've listened to your podcast or whatever it is. You don't get people saying that when they're like, oh my God, I got your flyer in the mail, or I saw your Facebook ad so many times, I love it. There's definitely a time and place to be using Facebook ads and ad strategies. Very, very effective. And I hope for all of you that you crack the code to be able to buy traffic and convert it at a positive ROI, because that's like very, very powerful. But if you're producing content, I'm telling you, there's a level of clout and authority that comes with that you're able to start building so much goodwill in the marketplace that it's tough to put a number on that. And yeah, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Absolutely. Yeah, totally. All right. So, yeah. Okay. So let me get back to, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So I'm not going to spend all day talking about this, but is this helpful for you guys so far? Just give me a thumbs up if it is. Because again, as I mentioned, I'm going to write a full-on, like, the be-all and end-all definitive guide to writing a book, published or self-published, very shortly, because there's a lot of stuff to say on this topic, from the getting the book thought about, book proposal, agent, writing it, editing, the launching and selling of it, all that stuff. So yeah, so I'm going to be working on that obviously over the next couple weeks, and that'll be up probably sometime in January, I guess. So let me see what else I can say before we finish off here. Let me just talk about launch models for a second. I'm not going to go into each one of them specifically. I'm just going to rhyme them off here. Okay. So there's the I have no idea how to market a book type of launch, which is like I'm going to send my list an email to go to Amazon and buy the book. And what's actually pretty cool is that I'm actually doing that right now. So I sent our list an email. You guys probably got it as well on Tuesday, yesterday, and just say, hey, listen, there's no circus act, there's no hooplas, and I've got this great book. I would love it if you got it. I'm not throwing in any bonuses, no extras incentives. The book in and of itself is awesome, and that's all I've got to say about that. So that's like, in terms of like compelling offers, that's the worst compelling offer. That's the worst offer you can ever make. But to be very honest, at the same time, the people who actually take action on that are the true diehard fans that want your stuff anyways. So you don't have to twist people's arm to do business with you. So that's one way of doing it, and that's the least effective way. But there's also the free plus shipping way, which I mentioned before, and it's very effective. I mean, if you've got a funnel that's well tested, you can get a lot of people to support this, and they can make a lot of money. You get a lot of books in people's hands to help a lot of people out. It's a win-win-win situation. You got the Summit or the docu-series, which we actually did for the all-day fat burning diet, which we did last year. So we did our fat loss summit, which was, we brought together 24 experts, did all the interviews about, how to burn fat, exercise properly, eat well. It was a really good summit. I would never do it again. Way too much work for, what you get out of it. But again, most people use summits as a list building tool. So we use that as a list building tool to funnel into the book launch, because we knew that we weren't going to do a huge crazy book launch like we did the first time. So we're like, how do we get partners to promote this and actually help them make money in the process? So our summit did fairly well for them. And then we led people who had taken part of the summit into the book, because the book was a natural extension of like how to burn fat, right? So that you can do that. A lot of work. It can be done. You can do the whole like Hollywood glamour thing. Like you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on book launch parties with all sorts of influencers and cool dudes, and take all these pictures and post them up on social so everyone has FOMO. But again, you could do that, and maybe you don't sell a lot of books. I've got two friends of mine who did that, and their books flopped compared to what was expected. So yeah. Make the main thing the main thing. Don't worry about the whole circus act and everything around it. And then finally, you can do the book tour. You can travel from city to city to city to city. You can go to every single bookstore, sign all the books, meet all your customers. And honestly, that's probably the most effective way, one of the most effective ways at really building a great following. However, again, opportunity cost. Do you have a family, right? Do you want to be traveling all over the place while your family's at home? Do you want to be taking all this time away from other things that could be maybe more impactful than, signing books in the middle of Iowa? I don't know. So those are a couple of different models. Again, I'm going to break those down like step by step in the blog post that I'm going to write. But anyways, that's just kind of to get the ideas going about how you can do this. So yeah, anyways, we're over time. So Jasmine, what's going on? So I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and I've been thinking about writing a book, but I have the sense that I need to build relationships first. I've been in private practice for 4 years, and I'm just about to take some of my business online. I'd love to know of training programs you're doing that can help me build a following. Beautiful. Yeah, good for you. I'm happy you're watching this, because I guess the big idea here with this training is that if I had a big stop sign that I could hold up in front of the camera and just say stop, that's exactly what I would probably say here is stop writing the book. I told this to my wife. She's an amazing writer, and she's probably going to be like the next J.K. Rowling. Who knows? In the nonfiction space, not so much on the novel side. But I said, listen, babe, you have zero following. What are you going to do? You're going to get a book proposal for $500, right? And you're going to write a book, and it's going to be awesome, and no one's going to know about it. So don't even worry about the book. So she's written the book, in probably about 80 pages or so. But I'm like, don't worry about it. Build your following, build your platform, and that is the beginning of it all. So anyways, Jasmine, to answer your question, so we are doing, I mentioned the power of content as the best way to really build your platform in terms of putting out goodwill, as well as acquiring more, or not acquiring, but getting more people into your universe, onto your list, and kind of communication with them. So we're doing 2 workshops in January, one in LA, one in Orlando at the end of January called Content Mastery. And we're basically teaching you my Teach to Sell method for content marketing, which is our proprietary 6-step process for turning ideas into profits in your business, all using content. And if you're interested in that, I can send you some more details. We have a few more spots left. What's cool about that is that in 2 days, we're going to show you how to build this platform that you'll have like this framework for the rest of your life. And we're actually going to show you how to take like literally one blog post and turn it into, you could literally build a business around one blog post based on what we're going to do in 2 days. So if you wanted to do that, you could do that. But I would suggest writing a bit more content. But we're at the end of the 2 days, you're going to have at least that content funnel created so you can actually start generating more leads, driving, for instance, paid traffic to your content if you wanted to, because it actually produces a positive ROI, so you actually make money from it. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I could send you some more information. And like, I think there's a huge opportunity in like anxiety disordered eating, like mindfulness stuff, like crazy. I mean, I don't know if you guys know the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. My good friends Emily and Mark run that whole thing, and it's crazy the following that they have. And yeah, I mean, so there's so many opportunities that could be used for that. Yeah, so again, this is not, and I just want to give you guys some context as well, because I've been doing this online for 11 years. And the first 3 years of my business, I was like nowhere. And that's because I decided that I thought I was going to figure out everything by myself. And that didn't work. Okay. So don't be a stubborn, slow learner like I was, right? Take my advice and just like follow the proven path. And that's why I've created Healthpreneur, to really, to show you guys what I've made mistakes in and to prevent a lot of that stuff, or stop, don't make that same mistake, and to show you some of the proven steps to really getting where you want to get to. So for me, like I really, spent the first 3 years just like hitting my head against the wall. And then when I finally I made the decision at the end of the third year to be like, listen, I'm going to join a mastermind, get some coaching, get somebody to be like, listen, just do this. And that's what I did. The following year, I went to a couple events. I met exactly who I needed to meet, and I joined a mastermind and got a coach. And that year, like literally catapulted my business. And, to this day, I'm good friends with those people, with my initial mentor and coach. And I thank them all the time. I'm like, listen, if it wasn't for you, I would probably still be banging my head against the wall doing all the wrong things. So that's why I'm doing this stuff, because it's frustrating to try to figure stuff out on your own. And I understand that, like, listen, if you're at a point in your business where financially you feel uncomfortable investing in yourself and in your business, I understand that, because I was there. I remember the first mastermind I invested in was $15,000. And I was like, I wasn't even making that much money in my online business per year, right? So I'm thinking, how on earth am I going to pay for this? But when I look back, I mean, like the trickle, like the series of events that have led to where I am now, like none of that would have happened had I not made that initial investment. And I made all that money back, obviously, pretty quickly based on the stuff I was learning. And so it's just really important to understand that this is not an overnight thing, right? It takes time. This is a business. Most businesses fail in the first 3 years. 95% of them do. Why? Because I think they're terrible ideas in the first place. If you look at a lot of, just go down the street, right? Hey, we're a restaurant that we're the restaurant that does Mexican, Italian, Canadian, and Chinese food. How are you in existence, right? There's all sorts of businesses like this that are just not founded on good principles, and they disappear because they just can't survive. So so understand that having a solid foundation is very important. And it's not to say that you're going to take 10 years to be successful with your business. And that's my goal, is to help you kind of accelerate that into, let's say 1 to 3 years instead of 10 years. But, just be long-term vision with this, because I'm in this forever. Like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm doing this for the rest of my life. So I hope you guys are too, because we are in this business to really serve other people, make a difference in their lives. And, this is not about, I see these ads on Facebook. It's like, hey, you want to make an extra $1,000 to $3,000 a month? You should be a social marketing agent. Like, what? Like, okay, cool. Yeah, you're going to make some money, but you have no passion in doing this. You're just looking for some side job to make some extra money. I'm like, this is ridiculous, right? Or, hey, I'm going to show you how to make a lot more money by sending out some emails with affiliate links. Like, give me a break. Like, we're in a different business. We're in a different universe here of actually serving people, actually giving a crap about them. And you can make a lot of money, you can have a lot of impact, and you can really build a business that really you love, that makes a big difference in the world. And you don't have to do any of that nonsense, because it really is, it makes me sick to my stomach when I see that kind of stuff. So anyways, those are just a couple of my thoughts. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. I'm sure you have based on the feedback. Jasmine, I will send you a private message with some more information about the workshops in January. If you want to let me know, obviously sooner than later, that'd be great, because we got to get everything finalized in terms of the attendees and the space and all that. And yeah, so we will have this recorded, I believe. I should be recording, unless something happened to my computer and it's not. But in any case, I hope you guys have an amazing Christmas. Oh, one more thing. Okay, so next week, I may have mentioned this in passing. Actually, I don't even think I mentioned this in the group. So next week from the 27th, I think that's Tuesday, I think, right? So Tuesday the 27th to Friday the 30th, we're going to do a 4-day Better Your Business Bootcamp. This is going to be amazing, okay? It's going to be 4 days, probably about an hour per day. We're going to jump on Zoom most likely, and I'm going to walk you guys through like the 4 days of like what I would do with you if I were to come into your business at the end of the year and plan out your next year with you. So this is the exact process that I've done with my team for the last 3 years now. Last year we did it for the first time in person because everyone's all over the place. And we spent 2 days together just like intensively. Like my brain was fried by the end of 2 days. But anyways, I'm not they're going to be fried, but I'm going to walk you through the exact framework that we use to identify exactly what we want to work on and break it down to the granular details so you walk out of those 4 days and you know exactly what you're working on with super clarity and focus, as opposed to overwhelming confusion and just jumping on the next thing that comes out. So I'll send a couple emails for this because it's going to be amazingly, very, very powerful. And I would strongly recommend that you guys put aside an hour a day to join me for that. Again, we'll do 4 days, probably 30 minutes to an hour each session. And it's going to be very structured, very framework based. I'm going to have some worksheets for you guys, and you'll probably have a little bit of stuff to do outside the call, just because you'll probably want a bit of time to think about certain things. But I'm telling you, like, those 4 days will set you up for the entire year. And you'll have so much clarity coming out of that. You'll be like, holy cow. And it's the cool thing is that you'll have a framework now that you can follow for any of the other planning and goal setting and all that other stuff. So this is something I've been refining for like forever. I've been setting goals forever. Finally, we got, we have a process that works really, really well for us. And I'll be happy to share that with you guys. So that'll be next Tuesday through Friday. We'll probably do it around 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm not too sure exactly, but it'll probably be around like mid-afternoon, kind of this time frame. So like literally reschedule your calendar. Like don't even go shopping on Boxing Day. Well, it'll be the 27th, so you should be fine. But I'm telling you, spend the time with me, and I guarantee your year will be multiplied in terms of its productivity, revenue, impact, all that stuff. Okay, so now with that said, I will bid you guys farewell. If I don't speak to you before Christmas, if you're celebrating Christmas, have a Merry Christmas. I want to thank you guys for being awesome, for being dedicated to helping other people and serving more people and getting your message out there, being part of the Healthpreneur tribe, because together we can really impact a lot of people. I'm on a mission to help 1 billion people by 2040. That's with a B, and I can't do that alone. So that's why I'm helping you guys help more people so that everybody wins. And so I just want to really acknowledge you for being so awesome and for just really being influencers and game changers that really make a difference to people. Whether you're impacting 10 people right now or 100,000 or whatever it is, everything you're doing makes a difference to somebody. And that's what matters most. So thank you guys. Have a Merry Christmas. And I'll send you guys some more information via email as well as for the Facebook group on our Better Your Business Bootcamp, which will be next week. So have a great day. Hopefully this stuff on publishing has sunk in a little bit. I'll go into more detail with the upcoming blog post, and I'll talk to you later.